So we will be going deeply into things we're supposed to be doing soon. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll be going into the rest of them. But for the meantime, like I said, we are just trying to see to understand the basics, and once we understand the basics, so we are going to go in deep. So the last time we used grid, and we use grids, and we're able to see how we can do grading in both axes. So today we are going to be using something like this window. Today we are going to be using we talk about plot, where we are able to plot into like 6 different distance, that is 2 row and 3 columns. So today we are going to do something like scatter plots. So on the same thing, I'm going to bring in this, and I'm going to type Jupyter Lab, and I'll click enter, and that's going to launch for me in um, my browser. So scatter plot, you use this function to do a scatter plot, and the scatter plot you use dot in observation. So that means the scatter plot function plots one dot each observation, and then it need two array of the same length, and one of them have to be in x and the other in y axis. So what I mean is that use it in plotting point, but you have to be two arrays, and one of them have to be in x and one other one have to be in y axis. So we're going to be talking about matplotlib, and then we're also going to be using matplotlib scatter. So that's exactly what we're going to be using today. So I'm going to go home and put this, and then press enter. So in this, all works the same way we work. So the same way we do from here we say import this, the same way we are going to work on this on scatter plot. So we are going to import matplotlibs, and we're also going to we're also going to use numpy. Then after that, we are going to just say x is equals to that, the equals to np array, like we used to do, we have been doing, and we're going to say open bracket, and we replace it with list. So you use random numbers, like let's use a random number, whatever you want. The rules is that in scatter plot it have to be the same range. So this is for x, and then we'll do the same thing. We are going to copy this, and then we are going to also do paste this, and we are going to define for y, and this we are going to probably add another point. Now this scatter plot, we, for us in surveying and us in our profession, we can use it for different purposes. So I've added like something like this for n and y. Now the only different things with what we have been doing is that before we're just saying, so this time we're going to say dot scatter. We're going to say dot scatter like this, and open up the bracket, and we say command is y, as two things we are going to plot. The next thing is to do plt.show, which is to show our plot, and then when we run this code, we should be able to have scatter plot. As you can see here, this is for x and this is for y. This is x, you see, this is y. You see we have up to 47, and you can see we have 47 reach here. So we use this as it is. So the x and the y, you can use it against two things. Maybe there are different things you can actually use. So you can make this kind of two things, x and y. So you make that this is for the x, and you come again, this is for the y. So you're able to now do the two of them, and that's how it's going to work. So you can also plot using two different events, like bringing two different events. Like the first one you have here is the first event, which happened. You put it that maybe this is first thing that happened today. The second day you get another random point that happened, and then plt.plot show, you have it. Then the second day you do the same thing again and you have another. Like what I'm trying to say is that let's assume that you go to work and you have this first one, and then let me copy it again, and then you go again the second day, you have another one, and then you run the same thing, you are going to have the value. Now what do you mean? I am going to change this thing. Maybe let me use another value here. So I'm going to make 4 comma this comma another different thing, and I'm just going to copy the X array and I'm going to paste it, and I'm going to place it Y, and I'm just going to make changes on this. Let's say 2, let's say here 5, let's make this 12, let's make this 10, let's make this 20, and let's make this 16. And if you run this, you see that you have 2 events. The first event happens here, the second event is this other color. So you can make this how many events you want to make it, but just know that what I want you to know is that I am plotting 2 events, the first event, the second event. So we are going to be using a bigger data, but this is a way you can represent your first event and second event. Remember what we have done, still that you know that anytime you want to put title, you still have to use the same title, and then the same thing we're doing. So that's the same thing. That's why we say it's the basics. So you see here, this is Pablo because I used title here. So if you see me not repeating the same thing, just know that I have something in mind why we didn't do it that way. So another thing is passing a color, still the same way. If I say here is equals to color, and I say equals to, and I put K, you remember what it's supposed to give me. So that means it's going to give me black, like we have talked about in our last class. And you see now this is black, and if I want to pass this one to green, I will also need to say color, and I will say equals to green. So the 2 different things, remember the green have to come in this. So I'm going to put this, and I'm also going to put up this, and I'm going to run it. So see, this is in green and the other is in, okay, so I made a mistake in color. I'm using UK instead of US, and you see I have a color in blue and this here, you can see it here. So what did I do the first time? I'm going to copy this thing down, then I'm also going to copy this again down. Now the first thing I did was in the first observation, I'm going to remove this second observation, then, and I'm also going to remove this color here, and then I'm going to run this. Okay, so this is first. Let me go from stronger to smaller. So I'm going to delete this because I've removed up this, so I'll delete this. Then down here, the first one is that I'm going to remove the first observation, second observation, which is to take out this, and I'm going to remove the color part here. I'll remove the color part, and then I'll run the code, and you see it having a blue color by default. The second thing I did was doing the second one, I didn't pass color to it. I only have the X and Y, which is exactly what I'm going to do, the X and Y, and I'm not going to have color in it. And when I run it, it comes by default the 2 color. The third thing I did was passing the color into it, which is this one here. So I'm going to copy, going to cut it and delete this so that it will follow it one after the other. And if I run this, you see that I have the one that have different color on it. So this is a way you can work on this. Then what if you want to make the array, if you want all of them to have different colors, each of them? So what will you do? You can do this something like this. I am going to remove this one because this is probably going to be big for us. So I'm going to remove this, and let's have the last one. Now instead of me passing color, I have my x, I have my y. So what I'm going to do is that for here, I'm not going to say x here, comma. So I'm going to say here, I'm going to, let's use, sorry, I'm going to go here. Let me close up this. Here, I'm going to say color, the color that I want to pass through in. So let's say colors. Then we are going to say equal to. So now we now use the same way we put us, which is np array, and then we now pass the colors as many variables that are there. So the first thing is that we are going to say r, which is red, comma. Then we have 1 2 3 4 5 6. So we are going to put g, comma. We are going to put blue, comma. We are going to put, let's say, cyan, comma. So we have 1 2 3 4. So let's also put something like k, which is blue and black. So we put k, which is black, and then we have, let's put another one, which probably will be yellow. So now what am I trying to do? I'll close it up the same way. Now what did I do? I pass the same thing in here and I close it up. Now this is color. So what I need to do is that when I am going to pass it in here, I'm going to say command, I say c is equal to the colors which I have added. This is going to pass. Then the next thing is plot show, and I run this code, and it's saying that c is, the error is showing me that c is equals to the, this is acceptable column of color factors. So let me check what is the problem. Here I have colors is equal to np, and then I put different colors down to here. Yes, then in the plot scatter I put c is equal to colors, and plot show is saying that c is acceptable as part whole of face color. So okay, so this was the mistake. And you see here, what did I do? I plotted each value. The red one, which is the first value here, is 2 and 4. You can see 2 and 4, it is red. So this is a way you can assign colors into this thing at any point in time. So you assign colors into it. So anytime you want to assign color, like I said, you can assign colors into it. Then by passing it through this way I do now. So another thing is the color map. The color map is actually used like a color list. You can have a range of color between maybe the way you see the color range. So we have C map and we have this. So these are different ways you can represent your this thing. So example of what I mean is, let's say that we have a color. Let me copy this and then go here and paste it, and I have this kind of this thing. Then instead of you passing this color into it, as you see, it moves from 0 to 100. Then instead of you passing this color into it, then you go to the color and now use here, use something like 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, and let's stop. This is 50. And when you pass it like that, you now pass the color. C is equals to color. Then you now say C maps is equal to, you put up this, Then if you run this, you are going to have the color in this pattern. So it is going to move from the lowest, like the way down, to the color font. So you see the way it plotted it, so it just have to like pass these two colors into it. So if you have up to 100, you can also pass it that same way. Now when you do that, how do you also show the color bar? Now to show the representation of this color bar, you can now, when you want to plot, after plotting the distance, so you now put the plt dot color, the same way you add your legend, like legend, so you can do cl dot color bar, and then when you run this, you're supposed to have a color bar here showing you the variation of these colors. Yellow 50, this color, you can see the way it is. So this is the way you can plot a color bar by the right hand side of whatever you're plotting. When we'll be plotting contour, when we'll be working on contour, which we are going to be working on, we bring a contour here, we try it, and you see how it works. We bring a contour here, we try it, and you see how it works. So there are different other types of colors. You can set it to red in this aspect of available color of CMap. So you can pass different other types of color. What do I mean by different other types of color? Let me copy this and paste it here. And like we say, there are different other distances you can try. They are revised. For example, if you say accent, then you run it like this, and sorry, it's saying that, oh, I made a mistake. Okay, if you say accent, you can see here, this, you see the way this is plotted, the way, same way when you open your ArcGIS to select a color and you have a color coming out, you can see we have the way the accent color is displayed. So you can also add another colors, like if you go up here and see blues. So there are some of the different colors that I can't remember, but when anytime I want to find it, I will always find it. You can see the way this shows up. So you can see the way, you see the way this one change, you see the way the color change. If you also copy this again and then paste it, and then you can also change it to something like BR, that is BR BG. Then you run it, you see the type of color it shows for you. So they are different too, and you know, anyhow you change it, it is the color of what you are plotting, how it is going to show for you. So these are different ways you can work on. You can do different other ones. We can also use rates, for example. Then when you run rates, you should be able to see this type of color. So there are different way what you want to plot will look like. So it's just matter of you coming. There are several colors you can work on, and then that is going to work perfectly for you. So this is ColorMap, and this is color. This is how we can work on colors as pertain to this. You see the way I put it up here and I put it down here, CMap, then you can see that this is what it shows me. So there is another this thing, we are going to be talking about them, but there are different other ways you can work on this, but we are going to talk about it. So we are going to explore them. This is showing me throwing an error, so we are going to be working on them as we move on. But this is the way you can represent your business. So in this case, why am I saying this? In case you have a contour and you want to show contour in different elevation or surfaces, volume calculation, how do you show the variation? And this is exactly the way you can show the variation. So on this, we will head over to sizes. Now there are different types of sizes you can talk about. So in sizes, how do you change sizes? Assuming a size something, let me write this. When you have a size, then you have different sizes you need to work on, and you want to display these sizes in X and Y. How do you change the size? So to get this done, I'm going to copy this code, and then I'm going to paste this, And then in sizes you have X and you have Y. So instead of hue here, I'm going to change this thing to size. So then in sizes I have to pass this thing here as here where I have color, C is equals to color. So I'm going to change the S here, which is size. I'm going to work on, so I'm going to put S is equal to size. So when I put this size, this thing become the size. So if I run this, you should be able to show me. You can see the different size here, the smaller, the bigger, and the bigger. This one is more big. So if you change this thing to, let's say 10, change the thing, add another 0 here, and another 0 here, and another 0 here, and another 0 here, and another 0 here. So what is going to happen if you run the code? You see that the size is going to be bigger. So this is a way you can show sizes. Now these sizes, you can use it to represent the size, different sizes of what you want to talk about, where the magnitude is high or where the magnitude is low. So you pass this into it and it shows that this is bigger than what happened in the other size. So this is the way you can pass size into it. So with this you can pass size when you are working. Then there is something we call alpha. Alpha is like a transparency. Like how do you work on transparency? So I'm going to do this and I'm going to call this in alpha. Then this is alpha. You use it to adjust the transparency of the dots, any of the dots. So as you see here that we have passed this into this. So what are you going to do after passing the size? You are going to put up alpha. Then you see equal to, if you put 0.5 for example, it's going to make the transparency half, that's 50%. You can see here. Now if I put this thing 1 and run the code, what is going to happen? You see it is complete. Now if I put this thing 0.2, then I'm going to run this and you see how it is here. So this is ranging from 0 to 0.1. So if I put half, it's going to give me the 50%. This is what we call transparency, as this. So you can combine this in this way and should be able to get a kind of a better like transparency, whether you want to increase it or limit. So this is a way you can work on this. And on this I'm just going to do something like how do I combine size, color, and alpha. Let me use this as example. How do I combine this into together? So I'm going to use something like I want to combine color, size, and alpha. So how do I do this? To combine color, size, and alpha, so I am going to use the same thing, and here instead of me using np, and I'm going to use np. So I'm going to use something like np, and I'm going to use random. We talked about random, and I'm also going to use dot. Then I'm going to use round integer. So I'm going to use now round integer. I'm going to remove this. So that is random integer. So I'm going to use np random, and I'm going to use random integer, and let's say here, let's put this thing. So the random integer I'm going to use is that let's choose 100 as color, and let's also choose size, and let's make it 100. Then I'm also going to do for y, this is for x, and copy it, and this is for y, and I'm going to paste it, and I'm going to change this beginning to y. Then I'm trying to combine them, so I can also add colors. Then in colors I'm going to use the np, which is still numpy, and I'm going to also use random, that is random dot round it and integer. And in the round integer I'm also going to use the same thing, which I am going to use this same thing as well. So I'm going to put this supposed to be in in brackets. So let me copy this and copy and paste so that it will be easy for us writing. Then I have added color, then I can also add sizes. So to add sizes, I can also do the same thing here, copy, and then I'm going to paste. I'm going to change this thing to size. Then after putting sizes, and then what do I need to do? I am going to now pass this thing into plotting. I've added color, size. So if I now put the same thing, remember working with scattered point. So first thing we need to work on, we need to work on the X and Y. We need to work on colors because we are working on colors. Then we need to work on size. We also need to work on alpha. So after working on alpha, let's choose something like another different C map. So let's use another C map. Let's use something like which of them are we going to select? So we can use blue, but let's use nippy. So spectra. So these are different things we can use, and then after that we plot the C bar and we plot show. So this, what is wrong here, the size is CP plot. So we supposed to have X and Y, and we're supposed to have C equals to colors. We're supposed to have the size. Oh, this is supposed to be sizes. Then let's check again, and you see this is what I mean here. By random, it plotted this for us. Now you can see here it brings out different colors. So let's use something like pink, and let's run this, and see the way it shows us in pink. Let's use something like prism, and then you run this and it sees the way it shows us in prism. So you can use different other this thing to work. You can use ocean and rest of them. So but this is a way you can combine these things. You can combine it and you see how good it looks. So this is by using random and put a random size on it, and it's able to plot this different random size for you. So let me use ocean because ocean looks better. Are we together? So you have it in different ways. So this is a way you can work using ColorMap, and then this is a way you can combine. This is a way you can combine both of them. And I think probably I will need to stop here because I want us to go into bar. But if we go into bar, we're going to spend enough time here. So, but I am just going to introduce the bar today, while we continue with it next time. So we're going to be talking about next as Matplotlib, and we're going to be talking about bar. And sorry, I'm going to change this in from put to markdown. So I'm going to change this into markdown, and then in plotting a bar, we are going to still use the same way what we are still using here. We import the modules. The only difference we are going to be using here is that in plotting the bar, we are going to be telling what is going to be in XY. So let's say, for example, that we're going to use np.array, and then np.array, we're going to be using this. Let's say here, we're going to say here is Collins. We're going to say here is Blake. We're going to say here is Nulu. we're going to say here is step. Now when we use this, we close it up, we return back, then we now define what is going to be in the y-axis. So we're going to say np, and then we say array, and then we open up the bracket. What are we going to be using? So Collins is too tall, let's give him 4. Blake is too short, let's give him 3. Nulu is slim, let's give him 5. Then Steph is tall, let's give her 9. So we do this and close it off. Now in this way, we are going to be changing it to be plt.bar, because we are plotting bar, and we say plot x comma y, and we close this up. The next thing is plt.show, then open, we close it, and when we run this code, we're going to have something that looks like this. So we change this into 13 and we run it. Blake is taller. And what if we change this thing here to y and make this one to x? What is going to happen when we do that? It's automatically going to come this way. So you see, we change this part to here and we change this way. You see here, Collins, Blake, Lulu, we'll have 3 here because we switch what this the other way. So we go this way and then we go with y, and we run the same thing here. And this is the way we are going to be talking from now. We have Collins, we have Blake. So this is where I want us to stop for now, while we are going to be working on this more. So this is a way where we are going to stop, and next time we're going to continue from bar. So this is using different distance. So if you have any question, you ask me right now, or else we can call it a day while we come up with different assignments later. So do you have any question to ask?